The second one is really interesting because the second one is it's better for the animals. And that was my reason for being vegetarian. I absolutely adore animals. And the idea of actually eating an animal was quite abhorrent to me. Um, what I didn't realize is that there is nothing that you can eat as a vegan for which nothing has died.
Mm.
And this is one of the great things that Leah Keith goes through in the group in her book. So she talks about trying to grow a lettuce. So she takes it to the extreme. She says, right, I've got a lettuce patch in my garden. The only way I'm going to end up enjoying that lettuce is if I can keep the slugs and the snails away. Now, I either sit up all night and just keep moving them so they don't get near the lettuce, or I have to put down something at some point that is going to kill them and keep
Mm.
them away from the lettuce. But the basic facts about food are you're going to have to keep the animals that want that food as well. And there are a lot of animals that like plants. You're going to have to keep them away from that food. And that's not going to be possible on an industrial scale. And of course, even if it were possible with the lettuce in the garden, you cannot live on lettuce alone. And so I've got a presentation online called Should We Be Vegan? And in this second part, I've got a picture of this sort of combine harvester sweeping across the field. And it's 3 tennis courts wide.
Mm.
And you want to say to vegans, okay, so which animals are going to survive that? You know, your mice,
Mm.
your voles, your rabbits, domestic cats, God forbid, you know, people's
Mm.
pets who are out playing in fields, if people live in rural areas, that combine comes down and they were having a little snooze in the long grass, they've got no chance. And as well, you've got snails and worms and insects and bumblebees and other things that you might well care about. So there's a great paper called Field Deaths in Plant Agriculture, and it tries to estimate, tries to quantify, and you're up into the billions.
Mm.
Billions of animals are dying every year. And I hate to say this, vegans, but I don't know how Kellogg's, when they're sweeping that barley field or that wheat field to turn it into the cereals, I don't know how they then get those bits of animals out of your
Mm.
cereals. I mean, the whole thing is just harvested. If you watch farming programs and you see that it just all ends up in a big pile and then it goes off to the mills and then it ends up being processed either into beer or into bread or into cereals or whatever. Where was the bit in the process that was trying to get out all the bits of worms and cat and rabbit and voles and whatever? Because I didn't see it. So I'm sorry, but you are eating bits of animals. You just didn't sit down and eat some lamb.
Mm.
So if you're up against billions of deaths in field agriculture, your more honest thing is actually to eat one cow. If you want as few animals to die as possible, and I put it up on the presentation, and you look at the calories that you can get from a cow, and you can feed one person from one cow for the year. So if you want one animal to die as opposed to billions, then you need to eat the cow. Um, and you also need to realize that if we don't eat the cow, it's not the case that you're going to enjoy seeing these animals in fields, because farmers don't keep pets. So let's say the world goes vegan overnight, there's a directive that comes out, we've got no choice but to comply. As soon as the current cows, sheep, pigs, chickens, whatever are dead, they're gone. They're gone forever. The species dies out. There are no more cows and sheep grazing in the field.